It's back. It's coming back. Premier League football finally is returning. In a few days' time, we've got Aston Villa versus Sheffield and Manchester City versus Arsenal. Today I'm going to be previewing the best selections, I think, for DraftKings for the Manchester City versus Arsenal game. And I'm just buzzing, I hope you are too, for the return of the Premier League. I think everyone's looking forward to it. A bit of something different during this quarantine. And yeah, let's get straight into the picks. So how nice is it just to see all of these players back on DraftKings again? I've missed it. I've missed the Premier League. I've been having a lot of fun with the Bundesliga, but now it's something, I've been trying to learn a lot about the Bundesliga over the past few weeks to sort of help people out and sort of do a bit better in DraftKings. But now the Premier League's back. This is my bread and butter. It's lovely to see all these players back. And let's just take a look at the slate. So obviously, first thing to note here, Kevin De Bruyne. Why has he got that Q next to his name? Now, I've had a look at some news reports, had a look at everything. There's nothing too sort of outlandish out there that says De Bruyne is not going to play at all this game. I'm not too sure why that Q's there. Maybe he's just at home taking a bit of a break away from the squad, but I don't really see any reason why he's not going to be playing. Obviously, we can see the lineups beforehand, so it's not an amazingly big deal if he doesn't play, but I'm pretty sure he will, and therefore, if he does start, it's very hard not to choose him. He has pretty much free reign over all the set pieces, with only Mahrez taking a few of them sort of right-sided, left-footed in-swinging sort of either corners or free kicks, although De Bruyne will most of the time go over there and take them. Also with the style, the way that De Bruyne plays, he plays a bit deeper and he'll sit on the edge of the box and just whip those balls in all day long. So a player who, as we can see if we take at the game log, even if he doesn't score an assist, which he does most of the time, so he's got a big goal threat, but if he doesn't score or get an assist, see, 0 goals, 0 assists, and he's got a 19.1. This is sort of, Trent-esque, De Bruyne-esque. These two guys in the Premier League are the guys we look at, and I'll be very surprised if he's not at least sort of 30 or 40% captained. Along with that of Riyad Mahrez, we can expect him to be over 20% captained. He's another guy, as I said, gets a few set pieces, but he's also quite a selfish player, which for DraftKings is very helpful because he gets a lot of shots on target. He'll cross the ball quite a lot, and he also gets a lot of fouls drawn. So if I'm picking between Mahrez and Aguero, as we see here, Mahrez is the guy who you're going for the better floor. However, Aguero, although he relies on the goals, we've seen him get sort of around 9 or 10 points without goals before. However, he's the kind of guy, easily can pop up with 1, 2, 3 goals in a game, send you flying up those leaderboards. But at the same time, if you don't pick him and he doesn't score, you're not really going to lose out too much. Whereas if you choose Mahrez over Aguero, then Mahrez obviously has the much bigger floor. Sterling is an interesting one. And I think a big point to make here about Sterling is that with the way the Premier League now is and the amount of sort of quick flowing fixtures, a lot of these guys, especially with the sort of Pep Guardiola rotation, will be coming off after 60 or 70 minutes. And Pep has talked before about the level of stamina that Sterling has, that he can just go for 90 minutes after 90 minutes. So that could be a consideration in that, we may see Aguero play 60 minutes and Sterling get 90. So, Aguero easily could go and get a brace or get more points. But if you're just looking for longevity and a player who can have impact and just tick up nicely all throughout the game with a bit of a goal threat, not so much. He hasn't really been on the goal sheets too much this season. Although this could rejuvenate the season for him with the restart. He will most likely be playing more minutes than the rest of the Manchester City team, apart from the defence, of course. Then we move on to another Manchester City attacker, Jesus. Jesus, actually, I do quite like if he starts. This is a big thing. We're likely to see either Jesus or Aguero start. Most likely one or the other. If Jesus starts, he gets forward a lot, and he does actually pop off a lot of shots on target. He gets into very good positions. For that bit cheaper, I don't mind him too much, but I don't think we're expecting him. If he's on the pitch, I'm not really expecting him to score more than one goal a lot of the time. So we have here our first Arsenal player, Pierre Emerick Aubameyang. Now I'm a bit 50-50 with Aubameyang or just the Arsenal attackers, I guess, in general, because it's Manchester City, a possession-based team. They'll most likely have between 60 and 70% possession in this game. But that's if we're talking about normal times. We really don't know with the restart of the Premier League which team is going to be more up for it. Saying that, we did just see Arsenal lose 3-2 to Brentford in a midweek friendly. So conceding 3 goals to Brentford, there's no doubt that they'll likely concede a lot of goals to Manchester City, but at the other end, that doesn't really affect Aubameyang. As long as he's getting forward, it doesn't really matter if Arsenal concede. If he goes up the other end and scores a couple of goals, then he can send you flying up the leaderboards. And also with that, we've seen Manchester City this season be a bit notorious for being a bit sloppy at the back, with the likes of Otamendi, even Fernandinho dropping into the centre-back position. We've seen them leak a few too many goals, and maybe with a restart we may see a few sloppy mistakes. But I guess in the reverse to that, Manchester City a lot this season haven't had Aymeric Laporte, and now Laporte's back, most likely will start, and he really does shore up that defence, allowing Fernandinho to also boss that midfield, which is something they miss when Fernandinho drops back into the centre-back position. Then we have Sane, who probably will get benched for this game on the restart, but we will likely see him play in the future. But I mean, if you want an impact player off the bench, maybe a punt. With the amount of rotation there's going to be, you never know. You could have Aguero playing 45 minutes and Jesus coming on for the second half. So maybe in one of the teams, if you just want to punt and bring on a player who you think can come on and play sort of 30-40 minutes, because of the 5 sub rule that's going to be on now, that's going to be implemented now. So there'll be a lot more rotation. Then we come to the 2 Silvas, Bernardo Silva, David Silva, who is interesting with DraftKings because they play quite centrally. Bernardo Silva, if Mahrez doesn't play, will go up to that right wing, and they're really just setting the whole team up and just passing those balls through to the likes of Mahrez, Sterling, and Aguero. Now, the thing is, their flaws aren't incredible. However, we do also see with them the fact that they're in the Manchester City team. They have a lot of goal and assist potential as well, and for just it's cheaper, but it's a fair amount cheaper than the rest of the Manchester City attackers, which could allow you a bit more money to spend to get a more expensive player rather than just putting in sort of a dud 3k player. Now we move on to some more Arsenal assets. The likes of Nicolas Pepe, I do actually really like. He's someone who will get forward and counter-attack and probably get a few shots away, even though most of the time we do see him just go on these dribbles and not really come up with much from it. However, he has been taking a lot of set pieces for Arsenal, and the fact that he's on corners really, I think, will sway it for me. The likes of Martinelli, he's okay, he can bring up the points, but I've also had Martinelli a lot of the times and he's only come up with sort of 3 or 4 points, so I'm not too sure about Martinelli. Gundogan's just a bit of a no-go for me. Unless he scores, I don't really see him doing much. Foden, if he starts, I will be very interested in because he gets himself into some very attacking positions. Lacazette, I think I'd actually prefer going for Lacazette over Aubameyang, even though Aubameyang is a bit more likely to score. I feel like Lacazette poses a good goal threat, and for 2,400 cheaper, or 2,200 cheaper, sorry, I think that's the sort of price I'm looking to pay for an Arsenal attacker. Not really going too much above that, as I feel like Aubameyang could be a bit too much of a premium. Then we get on to the Manchester City goalkeepers, Ederson and Bravo, and Carson's there as well. The likelihood is that Manchester City will win this game. However, I'm not completely confident on the fact that they will not concede to Arsenal. Could end up being a sort of 3-1 kind of game, 4-1, I don't know. But the likelihood is Manchester City will win this game. So if you feel like that 5 points from the win and that Ederson will get a few saves, likelihood is he won't because of the possession. But if you feel like he's going to get them saves, then he definitely could push up and above of 10 points. And also if they do get a clean sheet, he could obviously get sort of 15 to 20 points, which we do end up seeing in these sort of knockout tournaments, if a goalkeeper gets a win in a clean sheet, they tend to be on, well, somewhere, someone in the top 10 will have a goalkeeper for sure. Then we scroll down, we get to the two main wing-backs, or two most attacking wing-backs from Manchester City. That's Cancelo and Mendy. Mendy, if he plays, very hard to miss out. The amount of crosses, attacking positions he gets into is scary, but also the likes of Zinchenko, he gets very, very forward as well. A lot of crosses through, gets in very attacking positions. So if it will most likely be sort of either or, so it'll be Cancelo or Kyle Walker, or it'll be Zinchenko or Mendy. And obviously it makes it a bit easier for us if Walker and Zinchenko are playing, just because they're a bit cheaper. But the likelihood is, after this break, we'll most likely see Mendy playing. I can see Walker playing over Cancelo, just because Cancelo seems to be a little bit of a second fiddle to Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker does get forward, but is not as attacking as Cancelo is. When you have other Arsenal attacking options, Nelson's an interesting one, because he does actually get himself on a lot of set pieces if he is on the pitch. So if he does start, I would be very tempted to put him in, because we have seen him take set pieces in the past. Ozil, another player, very attacking. And if you don't feel like any of the other attacking options for Arsenal are worth it, maybe going for a bit of a cheaper option in Ozil, like to get maybe an assist, some pass to assist. Doesn't really shoot too much, maybe a few fouls drawn. But other than that, you're not expecting too much. Also, the likes of Dani Ceballos, I quite like to look at. With the way that Manchester City are going to play, he's probably going to drop quite deep in that midfield, allowing him to sort of pick up interceptions and tackles in the game. And he does also get some of those more deep lying set pieces on the left hand side with the right in swing across. And we do also see sometimes that he does get those sort of left sided right in swinging corners. So for a player who's $5,000 and has the potential of having set pieces, I think Ceballos is definitely one to look out for. And as we go down a bit further, Bukayo Saka has been very good in the past. He gets really bombs down that wing and gets a lot of crosses in. However, the likelihood is in this game he's going to be a bit pinned back on that right hand side by Sterling. So the likelihood is he won't get forward as much as he'd like to. A player who's now back from injury is Kieran Tierney, who was meant to be a massive sign when he was signed for Arsenal, and hasn't really shown much because he hasn't really been able to play. So I'll be looking forward to see if Kieran Tierney does play. I want to look out for, although one I'd be very wary with as well, just because of how attacking Manchester City are. He definitely could get pinned back quite a lot. A player who I think I mentioned before is Emerick. A player who I mentioned before, Emerick Laporte, is going to shore up that defence. For me, if he's playing, will definitely be in there for me. Has a bit of goal threat from corners, and I think he will just rack up those interceptions, those tackles. It's just a player for me. Really shores out that defence and makes me think now more like that they're more likely to get a clean sheet. Arsenal defence steering well clear of there. Socrates and David Luiz. David Luiz, very, very clumsy player. He has a very high fouls conceded and yellow card potential. Not as bad as Socrates is not as bad as David Luiz is this, but at the same time, just don't expect them to do much. But at the same time, the two Arsenal centre backs do actually have quite a good goal record and have quite high potential to score goals. So another thing definitely to think about if you want to combine maybe a David Luiz or Socrates with an Arsenal set piece taker. Could be on for a winner there, but I think most of the time with the floor that they have and the fouls conceded and yellow card potential, I'm not really liking that too much. Finally, we scroll down. Xhaka, someone who does go on a few set pieces, 3,400. That's not too bad value at all. And Otamendi likely to be playing in the other centre back position for Manchester City, who will most likely be the cheapest player on the slate by the looks of it, unless we see someone like Pablo Mari stepping up, or Mustafi is back and out of quarantine. But other than that, I think most likely is Otamendi will be the cheapest player on the slate. Obviously, with the way that Manchester City are, we can't really go around building too many lineups before the game, because you really don't know who is going to start this game. But other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this little preview, maybe gave a few insights. I think someone like De Bruyne or Mahrez definitely going to be definitely a big captaincy option for me. Other than that, I think Aguero, if you're going for the goals, lob maybe an Aguero captain in there, because if he goes and grabs a hat-trick, just having him as the captain definitely could win you, or push you, or make you flying up the tournament. But other than that, I hope you have enjoyed this little preview. I'm very much looking forward to the Premier League football coming back, and I hope you are too. Catch you later.